this is a big map. It's got some big fields. Calmsden is kind of limited, I think, but those expansion areas might work well. The fields, generally the arable fields are big, so they're pricey, so it's going to take a while to expand. The grass fields are fairly small, and you can make a lot of money from grass, because you can harvest it 5 times a year. So, I don't know. Well, I'll think about it. But I think, come the first DLC, I am going to be looking to move our series from Oakfield over to Farm Sim 22. We'll see what maps are available. Saturday series, I will not be doing the Old Stream Farm. It doesn't lend itself well to a series like this. You know, it's all very small fields, very small everything. And I kind of like to get into a 400 horsepower tractor and haul some serious stuff around. And Calmsden is kind of set up for that. I think some of the American maps might also be set up for that, just because they're going to have bigger, more open fields. Part of the challenge here is there are big fields, but there's not a lot of room to swing much of anything when you get to the borders of the field. So how's that doing? About halfway. Well, that's interesting. I was kind of expecting the Valtra to be done, and it kind of isn't. So I don't know what the deal with that is. Maybe once we get back in the case, I'll put that back on a worker, and we'll nip over to the potato field and check out how that's doing. But no matter what, I want to get this series to a stage I consider it complete. So that will probably be spring on whatever year we end up finishing. That. Start the engine. Helper G has completed their task. It's funny that the Valtra G has a helper called G. We are empty. You can go. What are we looking here? He seems to be covering it quite nicely. As I said, the coverage on this yield, we are over here for, where are we? I mean, this is a really nice yield level. We're looking at, pretty much looking at 125% yield, and that's mostly because this is a loam field, so best dirt around. Nice. Anyway, let's go check our dude here. Now, turn the engine on. So what happened? Yeah, and as I thought, the problem here is we got to this patch of withered crop, which I think is just died while growing, and the worker just says, I can't see my way across this, so we're done. Now if I pull this across here and then set it on a worker, he should make down and up and down and up again. He may make 3 rows here, so I'm good with that. You keep doing that thing. Looks like we had a similar problem 2 rows over. Yeah, up the top there, it looks like we got halfway and then, not even halfway, and then stopped. So, this guy's got, there's a lot of the field he can still work. That's the thing. I mean, when you look at the stripes we have here. This one, he's got 3 rows here. I can probably get him to do 2 rows there. This one, I can probably get him to do that. This, probably going to need me to supervise. Same with this bit over here, this bit here, this bit here. And then just let him loose there as well. He can probably do a few rows there and get most of that done. So, I think we're okay leaving the potato harvesters pretty much doing its thing. Now, what's going on here? Still fermenting. Okay. Please start the engine. So looking at this, I should probably get back into the case and drive it. So this tractor and the case and the class are all running large wheels with weights, which supposedly gives them good traction. They all get used in ploughing and cultivating. Well, the case doesn't get used in cultivating, but it does get used for ploughing. So traction can be an issue for that. Okay, I'm going to sit with this guy for now. As soon as he gets to the point where he needs to be emptied, I'm going to turn the worker off and we'll go back to doing the harvest ourselves. So the case will probably end up on the potato harvest as well. Again, because I don't need the super heavy tractors for that. They actually work better, for the most part, on haulage. Obviously here, because we're going up and down very steep hills with a full tank of potatoes. Okay, worker has been retired. So putting the JCB or the case on this, right, and yeah, on this cart, just, it's not a good plan. Let's just put it that way. The smaller tractors don't have the horsepower to haul it up the hills. Even the Challenger has difficulty. Wouldn't necessarily difficulty, but it doesn't. It's noticeable how much power it needs to get up some of the hills. Okay, you're done. Let's lower, engage, and drive. I will reverse back and take that patch on the left that got missed. Now, for those of you interested in science fiction TV shows, I have heard rumour that they may be considering doing a trilogy of Expanse movies. Now, as far I understand it, there are, based on a series of about 7 books, And the first 5 books are all back-to-back, which were covered by the TV show. But the last 2 books are 30 years in the future. And the producers kind of said it doesn't really lend itself well to extending the series to include the last 2 books, because it's 30 years later. You're probably talking about a lot of different characters being introduced. But they are apparently considering doing a trilogy of movies, although the problem they have with The Expanse is it doesn't have a big following. But it's very much of, realistic space. There's no gravity. Things go until you apply a force in a different direction, type of thing. Kind of like Battlestar Galactica with the whole zero-G combat type thing. So that's a possible thing. We've also heard that there is going to be a Babylon 5 reboot. However, because the CW is currently being sold, that plan has been shelved for the entirety of this year. So they're not going to greenlight the show until possibly next year. But J. Michael Straczynski, who's the show runner, said he did receive a phone call from the head of the CW to say, yes, we want it, but it's not a good time right this minute. And basically explained because the CW is being sold. So that still might be a thing, but not for a year or so. And the Book of Boba Fett, episode 6 dropped this week, that was another really awesome piece of work. And final episode for that drops next week on Wednesday. But it's sort of a lot of comments this week are, it's the Book of Boba Fett, why isn't he in his own show? Which kind of amusing, but what they did was just, we're back into the surprises of The Mandalorian, where you're in the dark about stuff and then something happens and you're like, oh, what? Yes. It's every Star Wars fan's dream. Everything that didn't happen in the Rise of Skywalker movies, these guys are really catering to, this is what the fans really want, and so we're just going to give it to them. And I think they've done an excellent job. I believe the next things we should be hearing about is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And again, don't know when that's due out, but that's soonish, I believe. And what am I doing? I am doing that. Oh, last load again. We'll have another series of the Bad Batch, which are how would you describe them? They are clone troopers that didn't really clone out too well. They have issues, but their issues are not, they kind of make them difficult to work with other clone troopers because they're different, and the whole idea of clone troopers is they're all the same. However, going the other way, their differences are definitely benefits to the jobs they're asked to do. So, kind of fun show, but it is a cartoon, so if you're not into cartoons, you might not have seen it. But I did enjoy that show. And it followed on from, is it The Clone Wars was another cartoon which sort of followed from the end of the second of the first trilogy. So was it Clone Wars to the Revenge of the Sith or whatever. That's the period that covered, and the Bad Batch were introduced for a couple of episodes there, and then got their own spin-off series. Oops. And stop. But I'm definitely liking what more recent Disney has been doing with Star Wars. Not so much impressed with their sort of Skywalker saga movies, episodes 7, 8 and 9. But other TV, really not watching much of any. Okay, who's been counting how many loads we've run today? And how far we've got. That's the thing. If you're doing a contract, it tells you how far you've got. And oh, too late. I was going to look here. Does it not tell me there? Oh, we are, yeah, we're not even halfway here. However, it does think we have earned 33,000. We made a 21,000 profit on this field this year. The lime, the mineral fertilizer, the seeds. Helper, and then yield 33,000. So total costs 12. So, hey, we're not doing too bad. Unfortunately, I just crashed into a tree, which isn't a good plan in anyone's book. And there we go. Oops. So yeah, it's reckoning that we've made 22,000 profit so far, which, yeah, not good, not a bad thing considering, you know, how big the field was. And I'll do a comparison. We'll jump over to our other field which had sunflowers in and see how that did, or how it estimated that one, should I say. There we go. Stop there. So, field 20. This is our sugar beet field. This was a sunflower field, 99,000. You look at the relative size. We're already up to 21,000 profit on this, and we're we're not even halfway. Maybe a third. So, oops. Kind of okay with that. Not sure how that one's 90. This one already on 101,000. It's already 134,000 profit, and I would have to look at this to see. I mean, we're almost done doing this field. 70% of the way through, 101,000. You look at the size of that field, and then you look at this field, 165. That one's 102 already. And yeah, the size of this field's tiny. What does it say? This is 7.74 hectares. This is half the size, less than half the size, and yet we're already 2/3 of the money, and not even all the way done yet. This is 3 hectares again. We're not close to halfway. Maybe we're. No, we're not. 21,000. This is twice the size. Not quite twice the size, but yeah. High labour crops are very profitable. Can be. So long as you're not spending money on leasing the harvesting equipment for them. Anyway. We'll get back to the field. I am going to go off mic for a few minutes. I'll be back. There we go. Okay, I am going to have to step away from the keyboard briefly. But I'm going to drive back to the field, get the harvester emptied, and then I'll be gone. I need to take a 5-minute break. Okay, so yeah, like I said, yeah, we're gonna be making good money on these crops, even though it's not exactly a big field. They're 2 of our smallest fields, and yet the income is, like I said, definitely worth it. Our first year, I think we produced 1.5 million litres of sugar beets, because I went a little bit overboard and planted 2 fields. I think the one just to our right, and then the one to our other side of the road by the bus stop, which is now full of clover. And let's just say 1.5 million litres of beets is a little bit too much work to do, although it did help the farm income, and thus one of the reasons why the farm has grown quite so significantly. Anyway, let us... I'm going to have to faff around here. Let's swing left before we turn into the field. Okay, I will be back momentarily. Okay, I'm back. Gonna stick that on a worker. Or not. Oh. Let's try that one again. Gonna stick that on a worker. Really? Come on. Go. Do your working thing. Get this guy out of the way. And you have decided to finish. Wow. Okay. Huh. I think I'll leave this bit alone. I'll go and stick this guy over here. How's this going to work? If I start at the top, a lot of really bad patches here that really don't work out too good for us, I don't think, in the long run. Lower that, turn it on.